today we are looking at the moon, and this image from Apollo 11. Now this was taken back in 1969 and is AS11 365426, and it's from magazine 36/N. Interesting image, this one, taken across the surface of the moon as the eagle flew round it before it landed, and we got some nice craters and details on the surface, which I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm mainly going to focus on the larger, closer objects that could be seen, because there's loads of crazy stuff in here, but a lot of it's a long way off. Here's the raw image. Now you can download this in a larger size. I would advise the original size. It's really quite a large image. It's equivalent to 16 megapixels, which is pretty big, but it's not massive. So there we are. I've got it in a folder here, and I've also got it in my graphics processor. I'm just going to show you the raw image first, then I'm going to show you where everything is. So you can check it out yourself. You can download this and add a load of contrast, and you will see exactly what I'm seeing. So let's have a look. Now the first thing I looked at, which I always do with these images, are all the larger craters. Because quite often, as I've shown many times before, structures can be seen in the bottom or sticking up out of these craters. Things like mining facilities and towers and buildings and domes and all sorts of crazy structures can be seen. And this one here, which is near the middle, kind of, this one here, it's the largest one in the image, it's the closest also, I think, has a structure here. Now you won't see very much of this until you add contrast, because the problem is the moon's very reflective. It's on the daylight side of the moon, it's very reflective and it's very pasty and bleached out. That's pure reflection from the sun. And also it depends on the settings they used on the scanner when they scanned the image into a digital image to put it online. So the scanner settings also may have been not quite right. But it's a very reflective area of the moon, and on the daylight side it's very light grey and very reflective, and you can't see a lot, but you can just about make that out. If I zoom in a bit closer, you can just about make out there's a structure here with a flat top to it, and another structure here like an arch shape. Now you can't see it very well, so what I did, I added some contrast. I'll quickly do that now, just to show you how I do it. I add a lot of contrast, minus 25 dark, plus 25 brightness, and I do that 2 or 3 times, and then it starts to come out. Let's do it 4 times actually. There we are, there's the structure. Okay, now if you're a little bit more careful, if you blur the image slightly, a tiny bit of blur, and you're a little bit more careful with the amount of contrast you add, you can actually get more detail from this. But that's just a quick version I've done for you there. I've got the image here behind, and I've taken a bit more time and added the contrast more carefully instead of in a hurry like I just did. And you can really get a lot of detail out of these images. They are really good actually. They're real photographs taken by people. They've been converted to digital images by scanning the slides and photos into a scanner on a computer and then put onto the NASA website, and also on Flickr, as I showed you a minute ago. So there we are. And here it is, the enhanced image. You can actually see that quite clearly. I've got better enhancements of this, which I'll show you in a minute. There it is, sticking up here. Okay, now before I show you that in detail, I'm just going to show you where else to look. Now you may find loads and loads of things that I haven't found in this image. There's this thing up here, very strange kind of big kind of block structure here, with a kind of weird sort of dome shape to it, and you've got on top of it, you've got something sticking up like a little crater or some kind of structure just here. See it? It's very small, that. Well, it's not very small, it's just everything else is very big in comparison. So I'll show you clips of all these in a minute, and basically I'm just going to show you where to look. There's also this wannabe crater over here. It's got something sticking out of it here with a hole in the middle, like a big window or something, but it's a structure. Now, if that was a crater, you wouldn't have that hole just there and the sort of flat top to it there. It's sticking right up. So we'll come back to that. I'm not going to spend too long on this, because what I'll do, I'll take clips of all these things and show you them at the end of the video like I normally do to save time. There was also this one here with some weird kind of structures sticking up out of the crater there, like a weird dome with sort of arches and weird shapes to it. Very interesting, that one. What I've done, I just marked them all so I could find them quickly for you. And there's this one, there's something sticking up there, not really sure about that. I haven't enhanced a lot of this stuff properly yet, so I don't really know. There was these weird structures here which looked like two craters initially, but when you zoom in, they're sticking up. This is another thing sticking up out of the crater, and here you've got these weird structures sticking up. So that was it really. What I'll do, oh, there's another one over here. It's a bit smaller, this one, to the far right. You've got some more structures sticking up out of the crater. So a lot of these craters aren't actually craters at all. They may have been initially, but what it looks like, and I've shown this in many videos on the moon in the last few years, is that many of these wannabe craters are actually domes or structures sticking up. Like this one, here. You can see it sticking up quite clearly. We're looking across the surface, so it's easy to determine what is sticking up and what isn't, because we're not looking straight down. And that really helps. And there's loads of crazy stuff in here. I'll show you some of the clips I've got very quickly before I go. And this is the main crater I showed you. Let me show you the raw clip first, just to show it's there. There we are. And there's the structure here. This is the main structure I'm concentrating on today, because the others are a lot further away. Now let's look at the enhancement. Now I took a bit more time with this and put a colour filter on it, and I've been a bit more careful with the contrast and took my time. I didn't rush it like I did earlier, and I got some good results. There we are. We got this thing here. We've got like a pointed arch shaped structure here, a kind of rectangular flat top structure here, which has got some other thing there that comes down like this, and we've got there's multiple layers here. There's another structure to the side of it. There's something here, but it's a bit vague just there. Now that's a normal crater, but it has something in the bottom. Now, how would something like that form in the bottom of a crater, unless it was an actual asteroid or something like that ended up there? It doesn't look like one. Asteroids do not have square rectangular parts like this and flat pieces like this, and almost a perfect arch shape there. Now that reminded me of one of the other things I found a couple of years ago on my channel. If you go to my playlists on my main channel, ArtAlienTV, and look at some of these moon buildings and mega structures in that playlist there, there's a whole bunch of crazy things sticking up out of craters, including towers and buildings and huge things. There was this thing here, which I published again recently, the giant moon house. That's crazy. And there's this other thing here, which is where the ArtAlienTV logo comes from, like an A-shaped, like an A-frame shaped massive block structure in Apollo 8. So that's before they even landed on the moon. And there's quite a load of stuff I found in Apollo 8. There's another one here, which looks like a factory or some kind of base structure. There's tons of this stuff. What I'll do, I'll link to these playlists at the end of this video, so you can click on that and have a look through if you wish. I also found some huge rectangular structures on the other side of the moon, on the far side. Some people call it the dark side. It's not the dark side, it's just lunar far side. And that's doing really well at the moment. The Chang'e 4 structures and stuff, basically photographed by the Chinese lander that landed there in January this year. And I found quite a lot of structures in that is just crazy. There's two massive rectangular buildings on the side of this crater, only about a mile away from the rover, between a kilometre and a mile away. So check those out. So what I'll do, I'll link to that, and you can just go to that straight away. But basically, this is where you need to look. This is the main crater here. There's also all these things up at the back, further away. These are quite a long way off, and you're not going to see them in great detail, but basically there's loads of stuff in this image, so I really do recommend you download it and have a look. Let's have a look again at the clips. I've got a few clips of some of the things I've done here. I haven't done all of it yet. There is that thing at the back I showed you, where you've got those weird kind of craters that initially look like craters, but they got structures sticking up out of them. What the hell is this stuff? These look like buildings or structures or something. Very odd indeed. This thing here, sticking up. This is a long way off. There's also, if you look carefully, there's a structure here sticking up, and it's got these dark parts to it, like windows or something. Now, of course, we wouldn't see windows from this distance. I'm just saying that they're that shape, square and rectangular, darker parts inside these structures. So these are complex, intelligent structures, I would say. Now, most of this looks pretty random and is normal, but then you have these things sticking up. So what the hell are these things? So I'll put clips of all those other things in a minute, and I'll do some nice enhancements for you and try and drag out as much detail as I can. But a lot of them are very far away, probably over 100 miles away. Okay, so that was it really. Thanks for watching, everybody. Clips coming up now.